it is not the customer's job to remember us. It is our job as business owners to remind the customers why we exist.
Welcome to the Mastering E-commerce Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Eitan Koter, co-CEO of Vimy. In an era of rising acquisition costs and increased competition, this podcast is dedicated to helping you drive sales, engage customers, and build meaningful communities so you can turn passive visitors into active buyers. Now let's get started with the episode. Hello, e-commerce fans. Welcome to another episode of Mastering E-commerce Marketing. My guest today is Vance Morris, a Disney veteran turned customer experience strategist, keynote speaker, and best-selling author. With over a decade at Walt Disney World, Vance mastered the art of crafting unforgettable customer experiences, and now through his Return on Experience system, he helps businesses turn service into a profit-generating powerhouse. Hey Vance, how are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm fantastic. Thanks so much for having me. Look forward to it. This will be fun.
Great. So I started asking my guests one or two questions just to make our audience feel more connected to them, and just showing that we are a real people here talking, and it's not a bot or managed podcast. So Vance, for you, what are the three words that best describe what matters to you most?
Oh, certainly. First and foremost, family. I've got 4 great kids, great wife, and can't forget the dog, of course. You never forget the dog.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be in trouble if I did. Certainly. And then I think another one is tenacity. It's just something I've always always put my nose to the grindstone, no matter what it is. And then integrity. You only have your name. That's really the only thing you own, and I do everything I can to maintain it because that's all I have, and that's what I am.
Yes, amazing. It's really interesting, the selection, and I love the tenacity aspect of it, right? It's so important, right? And so great. Thank you for sharing. So let's start maybe from the fundamentals, because customer experience, customer retention, it's an evolving definition over the years, right? And I see retention positions are getting more and more responsibilities, and also what it means. So let's start maybe with the foundation. Please help us understand, what is it, customer experience and customer retention for you?
Sure. So customer experience is really how people feel when they're interacting with your business. So it's much broader than customer service, and it's certainly not a department. And I really hate customer service department. Well, no, everybody in business should be in charge of customer service. Doesn't matter who answers the phone. Janitor answers the phone. Look, they are now customer service. But the experience is the process or the systems or the product that you are delivering, and how does it make the end user, the customer, the client, how does it make them feel? What is the transformation that they're getting? And that really sets up the retention piece. So if you deliver on the customer experience, your customer retention should be easy, but you do need to have a system for it. Just doing a good job these days is not enough for people to remember you and come back and purchase from you again and again. It's just not the way it works. It is not the customer's job to remember us. It is our job as business owners to remind the customers why we exist. So we need to have a system in place, whether it be through digital means, whether it be through the mail, etc. But we need to have a system in place to remind our customers that, hey, we're still here. You've already bought from us once. We've got new stuff, or we just want to keep in touch with you. But we've got to remind them that we're still out here.
Wow, interesting. And what do you mean by systems? How companies can implement system? What's the process involved?
Oh, sure, certainly. So I actually have a very simple system. And actually, I learned this from Disney. Disney has very simple systems when it comes to executing service and experiences, because if the system wasn't simple, the whole thing would fall apart. So I like to do that too. I like to have simple systems. So, and I'll give you the exact strategy that I use in my businesses and the ones that I teach. Um, First is we want to have a piece that creates engagement. I particularly like to use a newsletter, in print, sent through the mail, not digital, not email. I mean, we all know our email boxes are all clogged up with garbage. We have spam filters, we got folders. I mean, likelihood of your email getting read is pretty slim.
Yeah.
But if you've been out to the mailbox lately, there's not much in there. You might have a couple of bills, maybe, or a catalog, but if you sent a newsletter through the mail, likelihood, at least in the US, I know the Postal Service has about a 99% deliverability rate. Pretty darn good. So you get this thing and it's paper and it's well written and it's designed to be an engagement piece. So it's designed to entertain. It's not designed to talk about your product or if you're a plumber, it's not designed to talk about the new Suckomatic, discombobulator valve. I mean, that's not what it's for. It's designed to get you and create emotional connections with your customers. So, I shamelessly use my children in my marketing. So I've had my customers have watched my children grow up. Quick example, I have my daughter, she's 17 now, but when she was younger, she did ballet. And I would take a picture of her at her recital every year in her little tutu. So when she was 5 years old, took a picture of her, put it in the newsletter, sent it out. And I did this every year. One year, she was probably 10 or 11 years old. We're in the grocery store and this woman comes running up to us. She goes, and she didn't come up to me, came up to my daughter. She goes, "Oh my God, Emma, how was your recital?" But my daughter and I look at each other. We're like, we're ready to run and hide. And then I had to think, oh, wait, she must be a customer of mine. She's not going anywhere. She is emotionally connected to my business just through my newsletter. So that's very powerful. So you want to create this fence, this wall around your customers, keeping them in and your competitors out. Now, it's not saying you don't want to sell them anything, but in the newsletter, it's entertainment and it's creating this engagement. The second part is, well, yes, we do want to sell. So I usually do a postcard or some kind of promotion where we can do member only or customer only exclusives. There's nothing worse than giving non-customers a great deal. I don't know if you've seen the telephone commercials where, we'll give you 16 iPhones if you join us with, as a new customer.
Yeah.
Well, I've been with you guys for 10 years. I don't get a free iPhone. What's up with that? That's horrible. That's treating your existing customers like garbage. So we treat our existing customers, they get the best deals. So we'll send that out monthly. And then we do stuff certainly online. I'm not completely against it, but so we'll do a weekly email. And the weekly email is literally a combination of the newsletter and the postcard. So we'll have a nice little blurb in the body of the email. And then the PS is usually an offer. So within 1 month, we're touching each customer 6 times. And that is enough to keep them top of mind. Because again, it is not their job to remember us. It's our job to remind them why we exist. So that's the strategy I would use. It's simple. It's easy to execute. And most importantly, it's not expensive. I mean, that strategy for me cost me just a little bit over $20 a year to market to my existing customers. So it doesn't have to be expensive either.
Interesting. So the breakthrough here is one, use offline means, right? Just sending over the mail, regular mail. Just to, obviously, deliverability is very, very high to compared to anything on digital today. And you don't just sell there, but just provide more kind of what you call experiences, right? Where things are in life. So the idea is to build relationship, to keep existing relationship, and just having this foundation of friendship that customers are more open to accept a proposal from you later on, right? And they remember you when they need some of your services. Wow, very, very, very interesting. So you mentioned Disney, and so let's talk about the Disney magic. What have you learned in Disney in terms of customer experience? What lesson do you take for your career?
Oh, sure. So, I mean, first thing I learned, and people always ask, what was the first lesson you learned at Disney? And they're often surprised by the answer because it's not customer experience or customer service, not even, swooping down and picking up little pieces of trash, like what Disney is known for. It is that Disney runs on system. My first job there was opening up one of Disney's resorts, the Yacht and Beach Club. And I remember my boss walking us in. This was in the late 80s, early 90s. And this was before computers were prevalent. We had a computer, but it was like one for like the whole department. And we went into this ballroom and there was just miles and miles of binders. I mean, just big, thick binders everywhere. And I was like, what is this? He goes, well, these are all of the OJTs and SOPs on how we open and operate a resort at Disney. And I was just floored. I mean, they've got a policy or a standard for everything. You want to change a bus tire? They got a system for it. You want to carry a tray in a restaurant? They got a system for it. And what I learned, though, is that systems equal freedom. So at Disney, if the hourly employees can really learn the system and understand it and do it just from memory, they don't even have to think about it, that's when they can really do all of the nice things that Disney is known for, the taking of pictures and getting autographs and all of the nice little things that Disney's known for. And in my businesses and I've used this in all of my businesses, is that it gives me freedom because now I don't have to worry about all this stuff that's going on. So here in the States, I own 3 home service businesses. And I've implemented marketing systems and operation systems. And it's given me freedom to do what I love doing, which is coaching and consulting with small businesses. If I didn't have systems, my businesses would be falling apart and I wouldn't have them anymore. So systems provide a certain amount of freedom for your employees because once they know them, then they can do all the little extra added touches that make you memorable. And as an owner, it gives you freedom to be able to go and do other things, maybe add new lines of revenue, maybe look at an entirely different business like I did. But yeah, so systems it was really the biggest lesson I got from Disney.
Interesting. It's fundamental, right? It's like those set of processes and tools that you put in place just to make clarity and visibility for everyone involved, what needs to be done, right? And also, once systems are deployed in a very good way, they're also the people who are operating the system, they need to be probably less, I would say, less qualified or maybe not, it's not the best term, but people can, as you say, give you freedom, right? Because they know what needs to be done, the process is working, and then, things happen. But system is also, something which is more structured, right? It's probably based on experience of how things should work and what's involved in making things more efficient. How do you balance systems with, the magic of Disney, the idea of creativity, the idea of customer experience? These are more terms that make you feel something different, right? It's probably differentiating. How do you balance those two?
Sure. So, I mean, there are certain, like I said, the systems give you the freedom.
Yeah.
But there are also systems for creating the experience. So one of the things, if you go to one of the Disney theme parks, you'll see the cleaning team or the janitorial team, they walk around with a little broom and a little sweeper up dustpan, and they're picking up little pieces of trash and leaves and popcorn and things like that. But when there's no trash laying around, because Disney's a pretty clean place, they will actually get their little dustpan and fill it with water, and then they'll take their broom and they will, with water in their broom, they will draw one of the Disney characters in water on the pavement, on the cement. And they make a big show of this.
Wow.
And it draws a crowd and people are watching. They're like, oh my God, this is great. And So that's an example of just taking
Nice.
a guy who cleans, and all of a sudden now he's a street artist, and it's really cool, to watch that kind of stuff, and people are amazed. And of course, 5 minutes later, it's dry and it's not there anymore. Um, but you also look at what the small things that Disney can do as well. So Disney has a mission, and their mission is bigger than whatever their job is. So Disney's mission is to create happiness. Any minimum wage employee can wrap their brain around that. Um, their job might be to clean the street, but their mission is to create happiness. So let's take the street sweeper again. So let's say it's a really hot day, and you and your 5-year-old kid just bought an ice cream cone, and he takes a couple of licks, and all of a sudden, whoop, the ice cream drops on the pavement. Well, the street sweeper knows that, well, his mission is to create happiness, and his job is to clean. So to keep the customer or the guest happy, he immediately gets another ice cream cone. And really, before the kid even cries his first tear, he's got that new ice cream cone in the kid's hand, and then he cleans up the old one that just fell down. So that's the systems that help balance. He knows that creating a happy kid and creating that experience is going to be more memorable and is going to create a long-term customer than had he just, cleaned up the ice cream kid and cone and said, well, sorry, kid, there's another one. You can go buy another one over there.
Yes. So that's a mentality shift probably the business owners need to implement, right, on their businesses as well. And once those systems are implemented, and how do you measure, success of such processes? I mean, how do you measure return on experience, if we can say?
Yeah, certainly. So, one measure certainly is we use Net Promoter Score quite a bit. So I highly recommend people, use comment cards or some kind of review system, and measure their service. And when you do that, though, you have to be prepared to react to it. A lot of people will just get reviews, they'll get comments, and then they don't do anything with the information. And well, that doesn't do anybody any good. You know what I mean? Or they don't believe it. That's a lot of problem that a lot of business owners have. Like, well, our service is fantastic, and then they get comments from guests that say, wait a minute, not so much. And then they're like, well, no, I don't believe it because I know my team. My team's great. And so there's a disconnect between what the owner thinks and what the guests are telling him. And so you got to be prepared to react to it and do something, especially if you get the name and contact information of the guest. You want to be able to report back to that person and say, hey, thank you very much for your feedback. And by the way, here's what we have done to correct the problem that you brought to us. Now you've closed the loop, but you also have now made that customer feel valued, that they brought up a concern, and you've now done what you can and implemented whatever change you need to validate their concern and show that they were, that their comments are valued.
Yes. And this is probably one of the areas that are like high impact customer experience strategies that you would suggest businesses, or there are like other immediate, things that business owners can implement today just to improve customer experience?
Well, I would certainly suggest the number one thing right now today: answer your phone live.
Hmm.
Seriously, so I can't tell you the number of people you call, and it's a machine or a bot that is answering the phone, or it's one of those blessed phone trees. Press 1 for this, 2 for that, 3 for this.
Yeah.
If you want to separate yourself from everybody else in your industry, answer the phone live. One, let's say you're advertising on Google. You're doing Google pay-per-click. So I'm a partner in a call center. We answer the phone for a lot of home service businesses. So plumbers, electricians, carpet cleaners, and that kind of thing. And when we were doing our research, we called 4,000 home service companies. and we called them from the Google pay-per-click, from the ads that they're running. 17% answered the phone live. All those other people, all that money that they're spending to advertise their phone number is getting flushed down the toilet because they're not answering the phone. They're letting it go to voicemail, thinking, well, I get back to it later. No, the customer has just gone down to the next guy on the Google listing. Okay, well, he didn't answer. I'm going to the next guy. You want to impress somebody? Answer the phone. We hear that all the time when we answer the phone. They're like, oh my God, you answered the phone. And we're like, yeah. To us, it's just everyday business. So, I mean, I'm not kidding. This is like real stuff. Answer your phone. And then certainly have some certain standards about it. I mean, if you have a bricks and mortar business, I know this is a lot about e-commerce, but if you have a bricks and mortar business, have standards for your employees. What do you expect them to look like? Do they have a uniform? If they're going to be on a Zoom, a lot of people forget that this is like television. This is not, it's, or if you were going to be dressed in a store, what do you expect them to look like when they're, in your store? What uniform do you expect them to wear? I went to a restaurant last month, and I kid you not, I couldn't tell the wait staff from anybody else who was dining in the restaurant because they didn't have a uniform. I'm like, who do I flag down to get my beer? And then I don't know who, and I did. I flagged one lady down. She goes, I don't know. I don't work here. I'm going here. So you want to make sure that you have that appearance, and and e-commerce. Looking for ways to stand out. So like if you order my book, so I've written a couple of books, you can certainly get my book from Amazon. And I don't suggest you do because Bezos doesn't need any more money. Get the book from me. One, it's free. Just pay a little shipping and handling and I'll send it to you. But if you got it from Amazon, it's just going to come in a little brown box, right? No fanfare, no nothing. But if you order it from me, it's a little mini experience in a box. So when you order the book from me, it comes in its own custom-made box. And then it has a little bookmark with a little tassel on it. And it comes with a pen because it's a little workbook as well. So there's a pen included. And then, well, you bought something from me, so I'm including a little thank you letter. And then there's, oh, by the way, I'm sending you all this stuff. I should probably include a little sales letter for you to maybe invite you to join one of my groups or a study group or something like that. So there's all this stuff in there that opening the box, it's an unboxing experience. So what can you put in, when you're shipping stuff out, what can you put in there that makes this opening the box like, holy crap, look at all this stuff. This is great. That's going to make your product stand out from everything else that somebody's going to order from, a generic store.
Yeah. Vance, I just hear you throughout this episode, and I feel like there is like a common thread for everything that you shared with me. It just, you remind us that we are real people, right? And we have emotions, and we're looking for this social connections and feelings, and these are people forget, right? Because of all the technology and AI implementations. I think there is a definitely increase in adopting all these technologies, but also an increase for this human connection, having just remind ourselves, what's important for us, right? So
businesses that are going to succeed are the ones that maintain the human connection.
yes, and like for
Yes, I get there is a place for technology. There is a place for bots. I get it. I understand. I'm not a curmudgeon. I'm not stuck in the 50s. But there has to be an easy button to get to a real person. All right. And there has to be, because otherwise, once you've frustrated a customer, the likelihood of them buying just diminishes. Exponentially. Frustrated people don't buy. So why frustrate them to begin with?
yeah. How do you blend storytelling into customer experience? What's the importance of storytelling, and what's some of the tips you can provide around the topic?
Well, people love to be entertained. All right. I mean, that's just what we love in our society. I mean, look at what we pay school teachers and what we pay movie stars. I mean, that's where we put our value is. Well, seriously, that's where we put our value is on entertainment. So they love that. I don't know. Have you ever gotten a J. Peterman catalog or know of that brand, J. Peterman? Um, it's brilliant. It's a clothing line. I mean, the clothing's okay. There's nothing great about it, but it is. But the way he describes the clothing is like very 1930s, 40s, and it's back on this windswept cliff, the breeze gently blows her hair back as she puts on this chiffon, blah blah blah. I mean, just goes on. It's a flippin' cotton dress. I mean, but the way it's described, I mean, it's romantic. It's a story, and there's just romance to it, and it brings you, draws you in. I mean, think about Disney. I mean, Disney is a storytelling company. Have you been to Disney?
Sure.
Sure. So you would probably agree that It's a Small World is a very boring ride. Like if you stripped away the dancing dolls and you stripped away the story and you stripped away the music, literally you're sitting in a little canoe and you're going around this in this little river and you go in a big circle and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing to it. That's like complete boredom. But because Disney's put a story behind it, because it's got the dancing dolls and it's got the song that you can't get out of your head, which by the way, Walt wrote, it's now like everybody wants to go do it. There's a story. So yeah, I mean, and Disney's got a story behind everything. This is how important storytelling is to them. Like if you go, for example, so I do a lot of I take a lot of business groups down to Disney for boot camps and retreats and things.
Hmm.
And we will go to the China Pavilion in Epcot. And at the top of the restaurant in China is a little rooster. That's got to be, might not even be 12 inches long. And there's a little figure sitting on top of the rooster. And I'll point up to it and I'll ask the group, you know what that is? And the whole group, no, we have no idea what that is. And I'll say, well, that is Emperor Min from the Third Dynasty. And he was hung by his people because of how cruel he was to his people. And now in Chinese culture, they put that effigy of the emperor riding the rooster to ward off evil spirits. Now, this is a 12-inch little thing at the end of a roof in the middle of Epcot on 50,000 acres, and it's got its own story, which, by the way, is true. But it's got its own. That's how important story is to them. So for me, like I own a carpet cleaning business. So story for me is very important. So I mentioned mission earlier. Like our mission is to create healthy homes. Okay, we do it by cleaning carpet, but our mission is to create healthy homes. So we talk about all of the different things that go into creating a healthy home, eliminating the bacteria, the fungus, the dust mites and things like that. And we weave it into a story. We tell stories all the time on our website. A story could also be testimonials from your customers. That's a story. Doing a case study, a before and after. That's a story. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be, a fairy tale, but it can be a business story that talks about somebody using your product and the transformation that occurred. And that's more powerful than you talking about it. That's somebody else who's used your product and has experienced a transformation. So they are extremely powerful in marketing.
Yes. I mean, I think it's every business owner understands the need for storytelling beyond the boring, where day-to-day customer interactions, right? And there's a lot of discussion around memorable experiences, and so I like the testimonials, like the case studies. Just bring more stories. You learn so much from just talking to your customers, right? And just ask them deep questions. Why they're doing what they're doing, and why they purchase. And this is a gold mine for like more information that you can leverage.
Sure.
Vance, I want to discuss about, one of your books, The Systematic Magic Approach. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. For me, I boiled it down to what I call 7 magic keys to Disneyfy your business. We touched on them a little bit, but so the first one, everybody always wants to talk about it. It's the wow. How do you create this wow experience? And that's the sexy one. So I always like to touch on that one first. But wows don't have to be expensive. They don't have to cost a lot of money. Like I said, just answering the phone live will wow a lot of people. Uh, sending the book in its own box is a wow. And finding ways to just take everyday things that you do in your business, the boring, the mundane, and figuring out a way to create an experience out of it. How you answer the telephone, how can you answer it that separates you from all of the other people out there? How you do email, your website, how is the interactivity with your website? How can you create an experience out of that? It's just looking at things from a different light, infusing your personality. I had a dentist client whose favorite movie was Peter Pan. Now, if you know anything about dentists, I mean, they are a highly commoditized, industry. I mean, a dentist is a dentist is a dentist. And she said, you know what, I really need to break out from this because I'm tired of competing with all these other dentists in town. So we made her the pirate dentist. She she dresses as Captain Hook. All of her little dental assistants are little Mr. Smees running around. They all walk around saying "arg." The kids love going there. I mean, when was the last time you heard somebody saying they love going to the dentist? I don't, but she has this line of kids waiting to go to her place. So using something from from your personality, from your past, that will help separate you from everybody else. Another one of the magic keys is attention to detail. So I don't care what business you're in, we're all in a detail-oriented business. Let's say you're in the medical profession and you're sitting in your waiting room and you notice dusty houseplants in the waiting room. Well, geez, what's that say about, the operating room or the exam room? I mean, are the instruments you're going to be putting in my mouth, are they clean? So you really have to pay attention to those details. I mean, own a cleaning business. My guys wash their trucks every day before they go out because, well, we're a cleaning business. We should probably look clean. Another one is we mentioned mission. And so you should have, what is your mission? Your mission should be stronger and bigger than what your job is. And, I have an orthodontist client, and his mission is, oh God, I just forgot what his mission is. I had it on tip of my tongue. Is to create confidence. So his job is to straighten your teeth or whiten your teeth. But by doing that, he creates confidence in people because now people don't worry about smiling and showing off their teeth because they look good. So, but that's something that his entire office can wrap their brains around is, okay, yeah, we put braces on, we straighten teeth, but we're delivering confidence. The other one I think I'll touch on, I don't know how we are in time, but another big one is environment. And I'm not talking about like Greenpeace and Save the Whales, but talking about the environment in which you operate. And which you sell as well. So if you have a website or if you have a store, you want people to be absorbed into your environment so that the rest of the outside world melts away. So if you think about Disney, you are literally immersed in their environment. You can't see the outside world. And when you get off of a Disney ride, where do those things dump you? Right into a merchandise shop, right? So if you get off of Pirates of the Caribbean with your 10-year-old son and you walk into the barrel of Jack Sparrow swords and eye patches, well, you're probably going to buy one of those things. But we want to do the same thing in our businesses. So how do we create an environment that is fully immersing our customers in our environment so that the outside world melts away? If we're selling in somebody's home, with a product or service, can we take over the kitchen table and set up our products all over the place and brochures and, videos and things? Is the stuff that we have online, is it engrossing so that they don't even hear the doorbell ring? They're just like, oh my God, this video is incredible. Setting up an environment where, outside stuff melts away, price becomes irrelevant, and you just kind of walk them through the entire system. So yeah, those are a lot of the different systems and keys that I have in Systematic Magic. Another one is Employee Magic. I will sum it up with this is if your employees are not having a good experience, there is no way they are going to deliver a good experience to your customers. So you got to start with that as first and foremost, because they can't. There's just no way they're going to deliver one. If they're cranky and crabby, your customers are going to get the short end of the stick, certainly.
For sure. And a lot of these things are related to differentiation, right? How do you differentiate yourself from competition? And it's a very, being different, it's much better than being better sometimes, right? So, and it's important. So Vance, wow, I really appreciate all the knowledge. Thank you for sharing. How, our listeners can find you and learn more about you?
Sure. Best place is my website, which is deliverservicenow.com. A whole bunch of good little free downloads there. So you can get my book for free there as well. So you get all of the 7 magic keys and a little bit expanded version other than the short version I just gave you. And then I'm also on LinkedIn. I think I'm the only Vance Morris there. So feel free to connect with me there. I publish a weekly newsletter. Always have good tips on customer experience and customer retention.
Great. And we share all those links in the show notes. And again, thank you for Disneyfying our episodes today, Vance. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the end of this episode. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe so you won't miss any of our future content. Explore Vimy, the video commerce platform that includes live shopping, shoppable video, and social commerce capabilities. Visit Vimy at www.vimy.net. We appreciate your support and look forward for bringing you more valuable insight in our next episode.